Tonight, Electoral Office confirms 1,167 voters registered for the upcoming elections. China Aid Niue Road Upgrade Project commences with special opening at Avasele. Good evening, I'm Soraya Mongawa and this is your BCN News. Leading our news tonight, earlier today, the Electoral Office of the Department of Justice has officially confirmed the total number of voters who have registered to vote in the upcoming elections for this year at 1,167 voters. Compared to the last 2020 general elections, the difference has only increased by one, but there are definitely more women voters than men. The Electoral Office have also confirmed the names of the appointed registrars for each of the villages' electoral roll. Here's more on this story. A total of 1,167 voters are registered in the new electoral roll at the close of registrations on Tuesday this week. There are more women voters with 628 female voters and 539 males on the electoral roll. The total number of voters increased slightly by one from the 2020 electoral roll. There is an increase of 8 new women voters, but a decrease of the male voters from 557 men voters in 2020 to 539 this year. The largest village electoral roll is Alofi South with 276 voters and an increase of 9 from the 2020 roll of 267. The Electoral Office at Fonokula have also confirmed the names of registrars who are assigned to each of the villages for their village electoral roll. Should there be any questions or objections to names on that village roll, those issues should be directed first to the registrar of the village roll. Here are the names of the registrars of each of the village electoral rolls. Alofi South, Mrs. Valentine Motama. Alofi North, Mr. Steve Alapaki. Makefu, Mr. Charles Mangatongia. Tuapa Village Roll Registrar, Mr. Hiki Tongia Puheke. Namukulu Village Roll Registrar, Mrs. Lisara Heaki. Hikutavake, Miss Tiara Tukuniu. Toi Village, Miss Charlene Tukiuha. Mutalau Village, Mrs. Ketalina Poitoa. Lakapa, Mr. Richard Siatanga. Liku Village, Miss Tiara Tukuniu. Hakupu, Miss Charlene Tukiuha. Vaya, Mrs. Toe Tukutama. Avasele, Mrs. Laura Ikitule. And Tamakotanga Village Roll Register, Mr. Darren Tohovaka. Tomorrow, the first 4 candidates for the common roll seats will be taking part in a Q&A program on Radio Sunshine with Esther Pavihi, starting at 9:20 a.m. with Billy Graham Talangi, then Fapoya Kesi at 10 a.m., Charlie Tohovaka at 10:45, and Sinahe Manaheko at 11:20 a.m. The other candidates are encouraged to take advantage of the free airtime on radio and TV Niue to promote their campaign. There are limited slots available and the last time for radio will be on Thursday next week. In spite of the heavy rain on Tuesday morning this week, the church grounds in the village of Avasele Oneonepata hosted a large display of heavy machinery for the commencement ceremony for the China Aid Niue Upgrade Project. The villagers, along with government workers, officials, guests, and especially the Premier and his cabinet ministers, were present for the special commencement ceremony. China's ambassador, His Excellency Wang Xiaolong, was also in attendance to mark the start of the China Aid Niue Upgrade Project. Here's more on this story.
Large marquees were set up in the middle of the Avasele village green for the commencement ceremony of the China Aid Niue Road Upgrade Project. The village pastor, Reverend Petesa Sionituato, led the blessings for the day before the official speeches. Representing the landowner families and the people of the village of Avasele was Speaker of the House, Hima Douglas, who said it was his privilege to represent the ancestors and the people of the village at this auspicious occasion.
I think, Mr. Ambassador, it's only fitting that this ceremony is being conducted here in this village on this day, because in the final analysis this project is for the people, and what better place to have it than where the people actually live. And in the end, when the project is finished, it will benefit not only the people of this village but also the whole island in terms of economic development. Less costly for us to run our vehicles, maintenance of our vehicles, improve the transport of goods to the town and so on. And so, Mr. Ambassador, I say once again, thank you very much for choosing Avaseli. Avaseli is totally chuffed, sir, that you have chosen this village.
The ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Niue, His Excellency Wang Xiaolong, flew back from Wellington especially to attend this occasion.
Today we're here to announce the commencement of China Aid Niue Ring Road Upgrade Project, which is a vivid example of our practical cooperation. It is the first large-scale infrastructure project in Niue supported by grants from Chinese government, to which both sides attach great importance, and for which the Niue people have great expectation. The 46 kilometers road covered under this project is the traffic artery from the north to the south of the Lofi, connecting the concentrated residential areas and office buildings. I firmly believe the upgraded road will help to improve the local traffic and road safety, offer convenient travel for the residents, and positively boost the local economy and social development.
Representing the Niue government was the Minister of Infrastructure, Honourable Crosley Tatui, who firstly thanked and acknowledged the ancestors of the land, or the landowners of the village of Avaseli and the people of the village of Avaseli for allowing the ceremony to take place at Avaseli. He spoke about the benefits the island will receive as a result of the road upgrade project, and thanking also the donor, the People's Republic of China.
The road upgrading project for the 10 of the 14 villages on Niue is proof to the warm and practical cooperation that we share and continue to develop. For better roads will open up more economic and social development opportunities for our people. It will enhance tourism and agricultural activities. After all, road infrastructure is the most important of all land-based public assets.
After these speeches, the crowd moved to the unveiling of the commemorative plaque, which is now located next to two very important monuments at Avaseli: the monument to mark the work of English missionaries Frank Laws and his family, and the Avaseli Village Anzac Monument. The Chinese and Niue government commemorative plaque now stands next to these very important village monuments overlooking Avaseli Bay. A luncheon banquet was held at the scenic Matavai after the ceremony to mark the significant occasion.
A memorandum of understanding between the Ecclesia Kerisiano Niue, the Congregational Union of New Zealand, and the Presbyterian Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand was signed today. The agreement recognizes the independence and commitment of each of the partners to work in partnership with the mission of Jesus Christ and acknowledge their respective commitment to work with the Niuean people and the communities they serve. Here's more on this story.
The MOU, or Memorandum of Understanding, was signed by Reverend Nevi Salatielu, the president of the Ecclesia Kerisiano Niue, alongside Reverend Moenga Lasi, the chairman of the Congregational Union of New Zealand, and the Right Reverend Hamish Galloway, the moderator of the Presbyterian Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand. Niuean Minister from Wellington, Reverend Tali Hakiangaiki of the Congregational Union of New Zealand, was also part of the delegation from New Zealand. BCN News spoke with Reverend Tali Hakiangaiki today, and he said that the purpose of the MOU is for the three parties to work together in cooperation for the extensive work of the Lord Jesus Christ. We asked Reverend Tali Hakiangaiki what benefits will be derived from this MOU for the Niue community here in Niue.
To work together in providing resources in terms of training for the Niuean Ecclesia Kerisiano. If they have students they want to be trained, the Congregational Union of New Zealand will be able to assist them with funding of training them, whether it's 3 years or correspondence studies. We are able to, within the Congregational Church, to fund their training, but there have to be a process. They have to go through a process assessment that we are able to see whether those students are suitable for those ministry work. The Presbyterian Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand has also changed their system of training. Mainly their training runs through, internship training. But I have to go through the Presbyterian Church of Aotearoa, New Zealand, for the Niuean students or anybody who would like to be trained. So I think those are the key important things, amongst other things that the agreement has suggested, and also with our relationship with the CWM churches, which is the old LMS, Lotu Lamosa, which is a funding organization, which is long time ago, I believe, the congregation Ecclesia Christiana of Niue has lost the blessings that our matua has invested upon this for us. We are hoping to support the Niue Ecclesia Cristiano to re-enter into membership of this CWM, so we be able, or the Ecclesia Niue will be able to directly contact and receive some of this funding, or apply to some of this funding that's available for the youth ministry, for the training, for other things the Ecclesia Niue would like to assist and to apply for. So I think those are the key important things of this document. And importantly, I'm encouraging the Niue Church to make this work right to us, that we can work together.
The MOU contains several key goals or objectives, such as the ministry training, recognition of ordination, exchange of information, sharing of resources, and future consultations. The agreement is to be reviewed every 3 years after consultations, and the three parties rotate the role of hosting or leading the 3-year review of the Memorandum of Understanding. After the official ceremony at the Millennium Hall today, the guests and the church leaders celebrated the significant event with a luncheon and entertainment provided by the Niue High School Langakali team.
Earlier this morning, a cruise ship known as the Silver Explorer was sighted just off the coast from Alofi town centre. This is the first cruise ship the island has had in 3 years since before the pandemic outbreak in 2020. More than 120 guests were on board, and 140 ship's crew, including expedition crew, were also on board. Some of the guests were roaming around town earlier today, and others curious to see the Niue Wild Food Festival at Baliasi Hall.
BCN News spoke with New Zealand expedition leader Christy of the Silver Explorer cruise ship this morning.
On board at the moment, we have just on 140 ship's crew. That includes our expedition team, which comprises of 13 at the moment, plus our onboard videographer. On board the ship we have 126 guests, which hail from all over the world. So we've got guests from Australia, we've got guests from the States, from Canada, we've got some guests from Germany, Norway, and some various other parts of the world.
One of the Niue tour operators, Vanessa Marsh, transported a group from the ship to the northern tourist attractions site of the island. Some of the guests were seen walking around town, and some also were curious to see the Niue Wild Food Festival this morning. The next destination is Vavau, Tonga, says Christy.
The supply chain issues in New Zealand is the cause of the lack of Steinlager and Lion Red beers on the island. BCN News obtained a copy of an email from the Lion Nathan representative to the Niue Bond store explaining that in recent months, the Lion Export supply chain team have experienced some issues that have led to their supply chain service levels dropping below acceptable standards.
The Lion Nathan representative explained that they have implemented ways to improve the chain of supply issues and will be looking to check on the customers over the coming weeks. CEO of Bond Store parent company NB&C Poikapanga told BCN News that there was a shortage of aluminium in New Zealand. CEO of the Bond Store parent company NB&C Poikapanga told BCN News that there was a shortage of aluminium in New Zealand. The impact of floods added to the backlog of orders, and domestic demand took priority over exports. Kapanga explained that the orders placed in January, February and March will likely be arriving in May. He said that these supply chain issues are outside their control and they did consider air freight, but that was ruled out as not feasible. While there may be zero supply of the local favorites Lion Red and Steinlacker, the Bond store is expecting the supply of Corona and Heineken on the next boat.
A Niue Wild Food Festival took place earlier today at the Paliasi Hall. Local growers and farmers were seen at the hall with their wild food entries, which had 6 different categories. A good turnout for the Niue growers and the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries who hosted the event for today. Here's more on this story. Niue Growers Association, in collaboration with the Department of Agriculture, Forestry and Fisheries, hosted a Niue Wild Food Festival early this morning from 6 a.m. and concluded midday today. The event was held at Paliasi Multipurpose Hall at Niue High School, where a range of wild foods were on display. 6 categories were being judged for the wild foods, which included edible crops, fruit plants and crops, herbs, crustaceans, avian species, birds, and traditional food dishes. Entries only allowed 1 entry per family for each group per category. Local growers and farmers were seen early this morning submitting their entries. There were a variety of foods seen, some familiar such as the breadfruit and Niue spring onion, while others uncommon and wild. A good attendance of people were present at the festival. The results of the festival will be released next week. A team of 11 from the Niue Lawn Bowls departed the island last week to compete in the Digicel Oceania Challenge, which took place in Auckland, New Zealand. A nail-biting and challenging tournament it was for Team Niue, who made their qualifying sections to be ranked but lost by a bullet. Here's more on this story. Team Niue fielded a full team in all lawn bowls disciplines, including the singles, pairs, fours, and triples. The 5 athletes for the women's team included Joy Peiro, Bilana Motufo, Catherine Papani, Lindsay Talangi, and Vikatolia Liumahetau. The 5 bowlers for the men's team included Stanley Tafatu, Desmond Hipa, Gregory Funaki, Keith Papani, and Tukala Tangelangi. Team manager was Bill Vakafi Motufo'ong. BCN News reached out to Lawn Bowls Vice President Catherine Papani via email yesterday to provide an overview of the team's performance and results of the tournament. Catherine says that she is extremely proud and happy with the results of Team Niue. Although the team did not make any top placings, they achieved great results for Team Niue, such as Joy Peiro, who placed first in the women's singles qualifying section games. Joy competed in the semi-finals for gold and silver, but lost by a narrow margin to Norfolk Island. Joy went on to play in the bronze medal match, but lost by 1 point to Aotearoa Maori. An excellent result for Niue Lawn Bowls, says Catherine. The inaugural competition began on Thursday, the 13th of April, with an opening ceremony. The games officially took off on Friday 14th and concluded on Monday this week. 9 teams from the Pacific competed in the tournament, including Aotearoa Maori, Cook Islands, Fiji, New Zealand Under-26, Niue, Norfolk Island, Samoa, Tokelau, and Tonga. Team Niue returned back to the island on Monday this week. Acknowledgements to Catherine Papani for the images used in this story. The issue of voter eligibility for Niueans who had lived abroad for many years and recently returned to the island has again caught some off guard. Zach Smith of Mutalo found out last week that he does not meet the criteria to register as an elector despite having dual citizenship. The issue is not new, but the 57-year-old Assembly Act is causing concerns, especially for Niueans who have lived on the island for several years but are not qualified to vote.
Zach Smith of Motalo took social media earlier this week to share his disappointment that despite living in Niue for several years, he is not eligible to vote or stand as a candidate because he holds an Australian passport. Smith said that he holds dual citizenship as a New Zealand and Australian citizen, but he does not have a current New Zealand passport. A reliable source told BCN News that this is a valuable lesson for Niueans who have returned to the island to use the village council elections prior to the general elections as a test of their vote eligibility.
Last Friday was the Niue High School Culture Day. Parents, friends and families gathered at the Paliasi Multipurpose Hall to support and enjoy the performances, dancing and singing of the students of the 4 house teams, Pua, Kieto, Langakali and Moea, who have been preparing throughout Term 1. Moana House team hosted the Cultural Day for this year with the theme Whakatapunu Tumau e Tau Tufunga Whakamotu. The program was blessed and opened by Reverend Navy Salatielu. In the formal part of the program, special gifts were presented by head prefects to former Minister of Education, Honourable Sauni Tongatule, on behalf of the school. A farewell token of appreciation for his work and service for the Department of Education and the schools, as he did not run again for Parliament this time round. The performances began with church songs, followed by the takalo, and then the ethnic performances, and concluded with the traditional tame. Here are some of the highlights of the day. A beautiful sunny day welcomed the first annual Village Show Day for the year last Saturday for the village of Hikutavake, Mahina Tumai. Once again, the village held two separate show days, one on top of the hill and the other at the bottom on the main village green. While BCN cameras were present to capture the festivities of the day, it was evident in the early morning that a lot more locals and tourists gathered at the main village green. Here's more on this story. Variety of food was sold and a beautiful display of arts and handcrafts were on display. While there were a lot more people on the bottom of the hill, it was the opposite for the show day on top. Compared to previous years, there were fewer stalls on display. However, as per year, those who were present were able to hear from the village council and government leaders who attended the informal part of the program. Hikutavake chairperson Penina Pipitolu expressed her gratitude to all those who attended the show day. Despite it being a mini show this time round, they are grateful nevertheless. Similar thoughts were also expressed by Village Member of Parliament Opili Talafasi, who concluded the formalities with his final remarks. And that concludes our news bulletin for tonight. Join us again next week for more of our local news. I'm Soraya Mangawa. Have a good night.